The last time I believed my family was looking out for me, I was standing in a church food pantry line holding a box of canned soup. What I didn't know was that my son had been sending me $5,000 every month for 8 months. What? I didn't know was that someone else had been taking every penny. And what I definitely didn't know was that the woman stealing from me was sitting at my holiday table, smiling to my face, calling me mother, and pretending to care. My name is Evelyn Parker. I am 68 years old, a widow, and until recently, I believed the hardest thing I would ever face was growing old alone. I was wrong. The hardest thing was discovering that the people closest to me were living inside a lie. It all started on Mother's Day. My son Ethan arrived carrying flowers and wearing the exhausted expression of a man who spent more time in airports than at home. He had become enormously successful over the years. The little boy I once walked to school now owned multiple technology companies and lived in a mansion worth more than everything I had earned during my lifetime. I was proud of him, always had been. That afternoon, we sat in my living room while sunlight streamed through the curtains. Then Ethan asked a question that made my blood run cold. "Mom, Ava still gives you the $5,000 every month, right?" I stared at him. $5,000 every month? Before I could answer, his wife Ava entered the room wearing an expensive silk dress and enough confidence to fill the entire house. I looked at Ethan, then at her, then back at Ethan. Finally, I spoke. The church has been helping me get by. The smile disappeared from my son's face. Ava immediately jumped into the conversation. "Maybe Mrs. Parker forgot. I've been bringing it every month." Forgot. That word bothered me. Older people hear it all the time. Forgot, confused, memory issues, age, convenient explanations people use when they want others to stop asking questions. I knew exactly what I had received over the previous 8 months. Nothing. Not a single dollar. The room grew quiet. Ethan looked confused. Ava looked nervous. And for the first time, I began wondering whether the woman my son trusted most was hiding something. After they left, I sat at my kitchen table for hours. $5,000. 8 months. $40,000. That amount could have repaired my roof, replaced my refrigerator, covered medical bills, allowed me to live comfortably instead of surviving on donated groceries. That night I opened an old notebook and wrote 4 words. Find out the truth. The next morning I started investigating. I reviewed every bank statement, every bill, every receipt. I had spent decades working in accounting before retirement. Numbers had been my profession. Numbers don't lie. People do. My records showed no deposits. No transfers, no missing entries, nothing. A day later, I visited my bank. The employee helping me spent nearly 20 minutes reviewing my account history. Finally, she looked up. "Mrs. Parker, there have been no transfers matching that amount." My stomach dropped. When I walked back to my car, I knew something was very wrong. Someone was lying, and deep down, I already knew who. Over the following weeks, I began documenting everything. Every visit from Ava, every phone call, every excuse, every contradiction. I treated the situation the same way I would have treated a financial audit. Carefully, patiently, methodically. The more attention I paid, the more cracks appeared in her story. Whenever I asked about the money, she changed the subject. Whenever I mentioned bank records, she became uncomfortable. Whenever Ethan was present, she performed like an award-winning actress. One afternoon, she arrived driving a brand new luxury Lexus. The vehicle gleamed under the Texas sun. She stepped out carrying a gift basket and a bright smile. I invited her onto my porch. After a few minutes of conversation, I asked a simple question. "Where is this month's money?" Her smile froze. Only for a second, but it froze. Then she laughed. "I think I left it in the car." I looked at the Lexus. Interesting. The money always seems to stay in the car. For the first time, her confidence wavered. I could see it. She knew I was no longer believing her. That evening, I made an important phone call. I contacted Ethan's company. Eventually, I reached a senior accountant named Nathan Reed. After hearing my concerns, he became very quiet. Then he told me something that changed everything. The transfers exist. My heart started racing. What do you mean they exist? Nathan hesitated. The money is being transferred every month. $5,000 exactly. Then where is it going? Another pause. Finally, he answered. The recipient account is listed under your name, but the account number doesn't match the one you provided. I nearly dropped the phone. Someone had opened another account, using my identity, using my name, using my son's trust. And suddenly the pieces started fitting together. Nathan quietly continued looking into the matter. A few days later, he arrived at my house carrying a thick folder. Inside were bank records, transfer reports, financial statements, evidence, cold, undeniable evidence. 8 separate transfers, $5,000 each, $40,000 total. The recipient was not me. The recipient was Ava. I sat there staring at the paperwork. My hands trembled, not because of the money, because of the betrayal. For months, I had worried about groceries while my daughter-in-law used money intended for me to fund her lifestyle. Luxury shopping, spa visits, vacations, designer handbags, a new Lexus. The evidence was overwhelming. Nathan then revealed another problem. Ava had also been abusing company credit cards, thousands of dollars in unauthorized spending. It wasn't just my money. She had been stealing from Ethan too. That realization hurt more than anything. My son wasn't cruel. He wasn't neglectful. He had genuinely believed I was being cared for. He was simply trusting the wrong person. Nathan introduced me to a financial fraud attorney named Rachel Brooks. Together, we began preparing evidence. But before involving the courts, I wanted Ethan to see the truth himself. A courtroom could punish Ava. Only truth could save my son. That was when I designed the dinner. I invited Ethan and Ava over for Sunday dinner. Nothing unusual, just family. At least that's what they believed. I cooked Ethan's favorite meal, set the table, lit candles, made everything feel warm and normal. Meanwhile, hidden inside a large envelope on the dining table was enough evidence to destroy every lie Ava had told. Nathan agreed to attend, so did my pastor, Reverend Thomas. When Ethan and Ava arrived, everything appeared ordinary. We ate, talked, laughed. Then I casually brought up the monthly payments. Ava instantly claimed she had been delivering them regularly. I smiled. Really? Which day do you usually send them? The 10th of every month, she answered confidently. Before I could respond, Ethan frowned. No, it can't be the 10th. I scheduled the transfer for the 15th. The room went silent. The mistake was small, but it was devastating. Ava had just exposed herself. For the first time, I saw doubt appear in Ethan's eyes. Ava quickly changed the subject, but the damage had already been done. The trap was working. A few days later, I hosted another gathering. This time the evidence would come out. Everyone arrived expecting a pleasant evening. Instead, they walked into the collapse of a carefully constructed lie. Halfway through dinner, I opened the envelope. Ethan looked confused. Mom, what's this? I slid the first bank statement toward him. His eyes moved across the page, then stopped. The color drained from his face. Transfer, $5,000. Recipient, Ava Parker. Month after month, again and again, impossible, he whispered. I placed additional documents on the table. Spa receipts. Travel records, vehicle payments, credit card statements. The evidence continued piling up. Ava immediately tried explaining. It was a misunderstanding, a temporary loan, an accounting error. But every excuse collapsed beneath the weight of the documents. Then Nathan stood and introduced himself. As chief accountant of Ethan's company, he confirmed every transaction, every forged document, every unauthorized expense, every lie. The room became painfully quiet. Ethan stared at his wife. What did you do? His voice barely sounded human. Ava started crying, not from guilt, from fear. The truth had finally caught her. For months, she had manipulated everyone around her. Now there was nowhere left to hide. She admitted taking the money, claimed she intended to repay it, claimed she was under pressure, claimed she never meant to hurt anyone, but by then no one believed her, especially not Ethan. The marriage effectively ended that night. Within days, legal action began. Rachel filed the necessary paperwork. The evidence was overwhelming: forgery, financial exploitation, fraud. The courtroom hearing took place several weeks later. I remember walking into the building feeling strangely calm. Not happy, not excited, just calm. Because the outcome no longer mattered. The truth was finally visible. The judge reviewed bank records, testimony, and documentation. Nathan testified. Rachel presented evidence. My journal entries supported the timeline. Everything fit together perfectly. Ava's defense collapsed. The court ordered her to repay the money. Additional restrictions were placed on her financial authority. The ruling was clear. She had stolen, she had lied, and she was responsible. When the judge announced the decision, I felt no joy, only sadness. Because winning meant watching my son's life fall apart. Justice is strange that way. People imagine it feels victorious. Sometimes it feels like grief. After the hearing, Ethan barely spoke. He looked exhausted, broken, embarrassed. He blamed himself for everything. Months passed. The repayment eventually arrived. $40,000, the exact amount that had been taken. When I saw the deposit confirmation, I expected relief. Instead, I felt something else: purpose. Hope. Sometimes reporters ask whether I regret exposing Ava. My answer never changes. No, because truth is not cruelty. Truth is responsibility. If a lie survives, it keeps hurting people. If truth survives, healing becomes possible. I also get asked whether I forgave her. The answer is yes, I forgave her long ago. Forgiveness is freedom. But forgetting is something different. Some lessons should never be forgotten. Every morning I still sit on my porch with a cup of tea. The lavender blooms, the birds sing, the sunlight warms the garden. Life feels peaceful again. Not because nothing bad happened, because I survived what happened. And if there is one thing this experience taught me, it is this: money can be stolen, trust can be broken, families can fall apart, but dignity only disappears when we surrender it. I never surrendered mine. And in the end, that made all the difference.